Hello everyone and welcome to Old Coins TV channel. If you love exploring the world of coins, their history, value, and rare discoveries, you've come to the right place. Here, we'll share exciting information about coins from around the world, from ancient treasures to modern currency. So, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon to never miss our latest videos. The 1990 Lincoln Memorial 1 cent is one of the most historically interesting modern pennies because it stands at a transition point between classic copper coinage and the later zinc-based era, while still carrying the iconic memorial reverse that had defined American cents since 1959. Issued by the United States Mint in the year 1990, this penny continued the long-running Lincoln Memorial design created by sculptor Frank Gasparo, which itself honored the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse still displayed Victor D. Brenner's famous 1909 Lincoln portrait, making the 1990 cent part of a design lineage stretching back more than 80 years at the time of minting. What makes the 1990 cent particularly meaningful is that it belongs to the group of pennies struck after the mint's major composition change in 1982. When the coin was shifted from mostly copper to a zinc core with a thin copper plating. Although it looks and feels like older copper cents, the 1990 penny is actually 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper, which dramatically reduced production costs during a time when copper prices were rising. This change also means that 1990 cents are much lighter than pre-1982 pennies, weighing about 2.5 grams, compared to the earlier 3.11 gram solid copper cents, and this composition difference strongly affects how collectors grade, store, and value them today because zinc cents are more prone to corrosion, blistering, and environmental damage over time. The 1990 penny was produced at 3 different U.S. mint facilities, each with its own mint mark and collector importance. The Philadelphia Mint struck pennies with no mint mark, and these are the most common 1990 cents found in circulation. The Philadelphia mintage for 1990 was extremely high, reaching approximately 6.85 billion coins, reflecting the massive demand for small change in everyday commerce at the time. The Denver Mint, identified by a small d mint mark below the date, also produced a huge quantity, about 4.92 billion coins, making the 1990 D penny another extremely common circulation issue. The third variety came from the San Francisco Mint, which produced specially struck proof pennies bearing the S mint mark. These proof coins were not made for circulation but were carefully struck using polished dies and specially prepared planchettes, resulting in mirror-like fields and frosted devices. Approximately 3.3 million proof 1990s pennies were produced, making them far scarcer than circulation strikes but still readily available in collector markets today because many were preserved in proof sets. These proof cents are prized for their beauty rather than their rarity, and when kept in original condition, they display deep contrast between the frosted Lincoln portrait and the reflective background. In everyday circulation, the 1990 penny was so common that for many years it was nearly impossible to find a pocket change roll that did not contain multiple examples. However, collectors look beyond face value by examining strike quality, surface condition, luster, and mint errors, which can dramatically increase the value of an otherwise ordinary coin. In mint state, uncirculated grades, especially Mississippi 65 and higher, 1990 pennies become much more desirable because zinc cents often suffer from spotting, corrosion, and dullness even when new. A sharply struck, red-colored uncirculated 1990 cent can be worth several dollars, and in the highest certified grades, such as Mississippi 67, red, auction prices can climb into the $100 - $400 plus range, depending on eye appeal and certification. Proof 1990s cents in PR69 or PR70 deep cameo condition can also sell for premium prices, especially if they remain sealed in original government packaging. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1990 penny is the presence of collectible mint errors and varieties. Some known error types include off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchettes, double dies, repunched mint marks, weak strikes, and die cracks. Although major double die varieties are not extremely famous for 1990 like some earlier years, minor doubling on letters such as Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date can still command higher prices if clearly visible. Off-center strikes where part of the design is missing, or clipped planchettes where a piece of the blank was cut away, can sell for anywhere from $20 to several $100s, depending on how dramatic the error appears. These error coins are especially interesting because they represent moments when something went wrong in the minting process, turning ordinary pocket change into miniature minting anomalies that collectors love. Historically, the 1990 penny also represents the final full decade of the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, which would be replaced in 2009 by the Lincoln Bicentennial designs and later by the Union Shield Reverse. Therefore, 1990 cents are part of the classic memorial era, making them appealing to collectors who build complete Lincoln Memorial sets from 1959 to 2008. Many collectors keep examples of the 1990 penny in high-grade red condition as part of their long-term holdings, knowing that pristine zinc cents may become harder to find in the future due to natural deterioration. Over time, even common-date memorial cents in top condition have gradually increased in collector value because of attrition and rising interest in modern coin varieties. In summary, the 1990 Lincoln Memorial 1 cent may look like an ordinary penny, but it carries deep historical, compositional, and numismatic significance. It reflects the U.S. Mint's cost-saving transition to zinc, the enduring popularity of Abraham Lincoln's portrait, and the massive scale of late 20th century American coin production. While billions were made, truly high-grade uncirculated examples, proof versions, and error varieties are already valued by collectors and are expected to become even more desirable in the future. For both beginners and advanced numismatists, the 1990 penny remains an excellent example of how even the smallest and most common coin can hold a surprisingly rich story, long-term collecting potential, and a lasting place in American monetary history. Another deeply important aspect of the 1990 Lincoln Memorial cent lies in how it represents everyday American economic life at the close of the Cold War era and during a period of rapid technological and financial change in the United States. In 1990, the penny was still an essential part of daily transactions, used constantly in grocery stores, gas stations, pay phones, newspaper vending boxes, arcades, school cafeterias, and public transportation systems. Millions of people handled 1990 pennies every single day, which means that these coins silently witnessed the routines of American families, students, workers, and business owners. This massive circulation exposure is one reason why high-grade 1990 cents are harder to find today than their enormous mintages might suggest. The zinc-based composition, while economical, was far less durable than the earlier copper alloy, and once the thin copper plating was scratched or worn, the exposed zinc core would often react with moisture and air, forming white corrosion, bubbles, or dark stains that permanently damage the coin's surface. Because of this, many 1990 cents that were originally bright and red have now turned dull brown, spotted, or even structurally weakened, making true gem quality survivors increasingly desirable. Long-term storage also affects these coins, and collectors today use special holders, low humidity environments, and inert materials to preserve remaining high-grade 1990 cents from further deterioration. This means that while the coin is common in circulated condition, a fully red, clean, sharply struck, and unblemished 1990 penny has quietly become a more challenging and respected find in modern numismatics, elevating its status far beyond its humble face value. From a design and artistic perspective, The 1990 Lincoln Memorial Cent is also a fascinating study in the endurance of American coin iconography and how subtle design details continued to evolve even within a long-running type. By 1990, the Lincoln portrait originally engraved in 1909 had been subtly modified through improved hubbing techniques, resulting in sharper hairlines, deeper lettering, and more consistent strike quality compared to early memorial cents of the 1960s. The memorial building on the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, still retained the unique feature that allows the tiny seated statue of Lincoln to be seen inside the monument when examined under magnification, an artistic detail that quietly symbolizes transparency, reverence, and continuity in American civic ideals. Many collectors enjoy using magnifying lenses to search for crisp steps on the memorial, full separation of columns, and clean interior details, which become indicators of strong strikes and higher grade potential. In 1990, modern minting presses were producing billions of coins, yet quality control still allowed minor die wear, die polishing lines, and microscopic flow lines to appear, giving each coin an individual character. These subtle surface traits are now used by advanced collectors to attribute specific die states, identify early die versus late die strikes, and even trace production sequences within the massive output of the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Because of this, what appears to be a simple penny can actually become a subject of deep technical study, as specialists analyze strike pressure, metal flow, luster cartwheel patterns, and minute anomalies that reveal how and when a particular 1990 cent was produced within the enormous machinery of the U.S. Mint. The 1990 Lincoln Memorial Cent also plays an important role in modern coin roll hunting and entry-level collecting, serving as one of the most common training coins for new numismatists learning how to recognize grading standards, surface preservation, and early-stage corrosion patterns. Because billions were produced and large quantities still remain in circulation, collectors frequently use 1990 pennies to practice sorting for color designations, red RD, red-brown RB, and brown BN, and to learn how luster fades as coins move through circulation. A bright red uncirculated 1990 cent shows vivid cartwheel luster that radiates outward when tilted under light, while circulated examples lose this effect and develop smoother, darker surfaces. This makes the year ideal for side-by-side comparisons that teach how wear affects Lincoln's cheekbone, jawline, coat, and the memorial steps on the reverse. Many hobbyists also learn to identify early zinc wrought on 1990 cents, spotting tiny white patches, raised bubbles, and soft grainy areas that indicate corrosion under the copper plating. Understanding these patterns is critical because once zinc corrosion begins, it cannot be reversed and will continue to damage the coin, even in storage unless environmental conditions are carefully controlled. For this reason, collectors often remove problem coins from albums, isolate them from healthy coins, and use inert holders to prevent contamination. Through these learning experiences, the 1990 penny has become one of the most important educational tools in modern American numismatics, shaping the skills of thousands of collectors worldwide.